Welcome to HirewithEve.ai podcast. HirewithEve.ai is an AI tool to pre-screen candidates and accurately identify their skills to help you cut down your hiring time by 90%. In this podcast series, we interview and have in-depth conversations with global HR leaders across industries and geographies to understand current HR trends, leadership challenges, workforce planning, and many more interesting topics. So, with that, let's dive into today's conversation. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Asrar Mohideen. Asrar is a dynamic talent acquisition leader who's currently serving as the Associate Director of Global Talent Acquisition at Foodhub, which is a $190 million company. He has over 18 years of experience under his belt, and he's known for his ability to craft and implement innovative hiring strategies to attract top tier talent. So, welcome, Asrar, to the podcast.
Thank you, Rahul, for the warm introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. And yes, I think you already introduced myself, which I think has created ice breaking. Anyways, let me just introduce myself. My journey began 18 years back, and I found drawn myself into challenging or finding the right candidate, right? And we have seen movies, a lot of movies we have watched. The hero finds the villain in the right place and they catch hold. Same way, us recruitment professional, we are finding the right candidate for our organization. And I've worked across various industries and geographies, and that's been a additional strength for me because I've started off with a startup company, consulting. I moved to services, OEM, and now I'm with a product company. So it's broad perspective. I would say talent acquisition and how it can drive business success is what I'm focusing at. So I'm aligning recruitment strategies with our business objective, and we are looking for high performing workforce. I'm excited to dive into the conversation and share more insight in terms of talent acquisition. Great. Thank you for that, and welcome to today's conversation. So, Asrar, one of the first questions that we often ask our guest is, based on your experience, what do you think is the superpower that the HR, and specifically someone in your role, has within an organization? And perhaps you could also highlight then what would be the weaknesses potentially that the position has. Yeah, it's a very interesting question, Rahul. Thank you so much. I think quite a lot of people will have a superpower, right? They may not identify it. Once they identify what is the superpower, I think they'll be more successful in life. For HR professionals, I believe what's very important is they need to have empathy. Empathy plays a major role because they are dealing with people and they're not dealing with any robots or programming language at this point of time. So the human element is always going to be there. So empathy plays a major role, which is very, very important. And the HR or the spokesperson of the organization, anyone is going to be hired in any organization. I think the first point of contact is the talent acquisition team. Company success predominantly depends upon the candidate who's been onboarded, what kind of values he's going to bring to the business. And it could be make or break company's success. If one wrong hire we make, I think the entire thing goes from there downhill, right? So I think we play a major role in terms of bringing in. So identifying the right talent and having the vision, understanding the business model, and quite a lot of HR at this point of time are moving towards from recruiter to talent acquisition partners. They're working closely with the CEOs and the stakeholders of the business to understand the technology and ensuring that they're getting the right people on board. So communication skill, empathy, and understanding the vision and identifying the right candidate is very, very important for the success for any organization. Yeah, and in terms of weakness, yeah, I would definitely say, I mean, like sometimes as talent acquisition professionals, we make tend to make mistakes because there are a lot of requirements coming up. There are a lot of niche skills we are working with, so we are tend to take a risk of hiring a person, and then like to experiment. Probably we think that this person might over the period of time he might be the right fit for us, but sometimes it may not be the case, right? It might be a different way. He may not be very flexible, the candidate whom we hired, and those things are very challenging. So judgment is going to be a challenge for talent acquisition professional because quite a lot of people when they come for an interview discussion, within the span of 30 to 40 minutes, whatever given, they will try to impress with whatever knowledge and information they have got. But as a HR professional, for us to identify whatever has been said on the face value is what we take it. So at times that could be a biggest challenge. What I feel, like as I wish I had a mind reading superpower to read the people's mind to get what's running in their mind to get the right candidate.
Wow, I mean that is quite a superpower. So expanding to that question, and you having a breadth of experience within the domain, what would then be your vision for an HR partner's role within an organization in order to make the organization successful?
So it's very important, Rahul. I think you asked the right questions because uh, any company success depends upon the talent we bring in. So we need to work closely with the business. It could be the CEO, or it could be the hiring managers, or it could be the leaders of the business or heads of the department. Identifying what skill is needed for our organization. The vision part is very, very important. As we talk about technology, it keeps evolving every now and then, and nothing is constant. I think the buzzword right now is AI. Quite a lot of people are talking about AI, even without knowing what AI is. Quite a lot of people in my team also come and ask me like whether the talent acquisition professional is going to be replaced, but they don't understand that AI is going to facilitate to help the recruiters to get things faster.
Right.
So it's going to be there. We cannot avoid it. Only thing what we can do is we can embrace the change and move towards technology. So that's very, very important, is what I feel. So the vision part, as you rightly mentioned, I think we have to be agile and we need to be fast in terms of serving our clients, filling the roles for our hiring managers, ensure that the business is not impacted. So agile is very, very important. Working closely, being a business partner. Now, talent acquisition professionals are called as talent acquisition partners. So that's how we are evolving at this point of time. So you could see like how much value they have got and doing it. And yes, there are other parts like diversity and inclusion that also plays a major role. Quite a lot of people think diversity is only about hiring a male or female candidate. No, it's not about that. It's about hiring people from different culture, race, and also from different regions. Because now we talk about talent has no borders. So that's how we see. So those are the vision what I see as a talent acquisition professional to be successful.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And can you elaborate on one of the points you just mentioned, where your colleague probably came to you about the AI disrupting their workflow, workspace, and this concern of getting replacement? So, how do you see, for example, technology and AI playing a role in supporting an HR partner in making them more efficient? What are some of the kind of examples have you either thought of or come across where this happens?
So the basic mindset of people, especially when there is a change comes in, we are resistant to change, right? And
Right.
especially when it comes to technology, people are really scared. Like new software, new upgrades, and other things are coming. And way back, let's take an example of mobile phones, right? Initially, it was just a mobile phone. Now the mobile phone is used for multitasking. It's not for one purpose. Facility. It can be used as your calendar. You can make calls, video calls, emails, you can have chats and all these things. So technology is evolving as we speak. If you ask me honestly, most of my team members are using AI even without knowing that they are using, for example, chat gpt.
Yeah.
So they are already using it. So for me to tell them that uh, it's going to help them in terms of growing, getting the work done faster, and it's going to be really, really great, and we have to embrace the technology and look forward. But they cannot sit back in the comfort zone saying that yes, AI is not going to take my job, I'm going to be happy. Then it's not a safe place. It's If they're going to be in comfort zone, they need to upskill, reskill is what is important. So the continuous learning part has to be there, because AI is going to facilitate, but how to use that AI, you need to have that learning capability to ensure that it can be implemented according to that.
Of course, of course. So, would be great to learn and talk more about the challenges that a talent acquisition or an HR business partner actually faces in due course of their workflow and the results or the outcome that they're looking for.
I mean, talent acquisition professionals face quite a lot of problem these days. And to start off with, we do not have the required skill set in the market. 10 years back, we never thought that AI would be in the market. We never thought about DevOps, or we never thought about data analytics, all these skills. But 10 years back, we were just working on Java, .NET technologies, PHP. But now you see, over the period of 10 years, the technology is evolving, so the challenges are evolving, so the developers have to change themselves. Some of them do, some of them don't, and some of them are latest technologies, and you will find a very limited resource talent pools available in the market. So identifying them is going to be a challenge. Even if you end to identify a candidate, for one candidate there will be 15 companies competing to get that candidate. So attracting the candidate is going to be a challenge, as it's a very niche market, and getting them on board is going to be a major problem. So how we are going to the candidate experience from interview process till onboarding plays a major role. So these are some of the challenges I would say. For HR business partner, I would say there could be challenges like in terms of policy making, right? When they make a policy, they cannot make for a particular person, so they have to look at it as whole company, whole organization, and they have to write policies. Sometimes not, I mean, as you rightly said, you cannot please everyone at the end of the day. So
Right.
the policy making plays a major role here, and we have to keep an eye on it and ensure that we make the policy keeping in mind the business as well as the employee in mind, and we write the policies. So that's all some of the challenges I would say. There are many more challenges, but this is something which I would like to, I felt like worth highlighting to you at this point of time.
Right, right, right. Just to kind of double click and going deeper, for example, within the role of talent acquisition, and you have a very wide experience within that area. And there is this also aspect of a great candidate is being pursued by 15 plus companies, right? Uh, During this period, how is a talent acquisition person really managing talent where their source candidate list can be quite vast, source from various LinkedIn and job portals and so on? How do they then go about dividing their attention across so many candidates that they have to manage?
Yeah, I mean, the talent acquisition professional, as I rightly said, it's not like how we used to think about only about the database search, what we used to do in the past. Now it has become more than that, because we need to figure it out the sourcing strategies. As you rightly mentioned, we have to go for job boards, we have to go for LinkedIn, networking events, and all this stuff. So it plays a major role. We need to identify where our talents are available first, because some of the skills what we are talking about are not available in certain geographies, and we need to do a lot of research, understand where these resources are available. Sometimes it might be available in some campuses. I see a lot of campuses also, working closely, collaborating with the corporates in terms of framing their curriculum, which is really good thing. And I've been visiting some of the colleges, and I've been interacting with the placement officers, where I come to know that they have AI, they have data science, full stack engineers, all these things implemented in the subject, which is really good thing. Initially, that was not there, right? Because there has been huge gap between the corporate and campus, and to bridging the gap, I think it's really really great. And there are a lot of things which the recruiter has to do, especially when they're working for a niche skill like this. Continuous engagement with the candidate plays a major role, so
Right,
we need to continuously keep engaged. And very important thing, it has to be employee centric recruitment process. So
right,
when I say employee-centric recruitment process, what happens is like ensure that the candidate is updated on the feedbacks. Quite a lot of times we don't do it. We take things for granted because there are so many. For one role we get 150 CVs, 200 CVs. Yes, we may not able to address, reply to all of them immediately. But if you get a good candidate, ensure that you respond to him, be prompt, be agile, and have interaction with him, and build that relationship from there, and be transparent from day one, whatever it is, how the role is going to look like, what is the company culture looks like, and what is the KRA KPIs, what is the expectation of this role. The more transparent you are, I think it will be much more easier for us to open up, and candidate will also start getting engaged with our organization. Quite a lot of people will have different opinion. Some might be joining for salary, some might looking for career opportunities, learning challenges. So the more we talk to them, we will able to identify what this person is looking forward to, and that will actually bridge a gap where the talent acquisition professional can go and speak to the stakeholders and engage them for HR, hiring manager connect, and ensuring and seeing that whether we are aligning with the candidates uh, expectation. So that is very important. So when a lot of companies are engaging, it's talent. There has been a talent war for talent is what I would say.
course, of
So
course.
how we need to identify is the key thing, and it's not going to be that easy. But we need to engage, communicate, and we have to be transparent. Is what I feel.
Of course, of course. Now, now you were just mentioning about that they have to also manage some very niche roles, and then some very general roles. So, how does the talent acquisition really go about? I mean, typically, I would imagine a company of a certain size, let's say a size of your company, would be hiring. If you could give me a ballpark at any given point of time, how many positions would be open?
So again, this depends upon the business need. Like that is the reason why the talent acquisition partner needs to play a major role
Of,
in terms of getting the table with the management. So
of
they need to forecast. They need to understand what is the business goal, where they are going to expand. For example, in the company Foodhub, where we're working, we are expanding in. We are working in 6 countries. When I started way back in 2019, we are operating only in the UK.
right.
Over the period, we have been expanding in different continents. We have been moved to Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, US, UK, all these regions. So, understanding the business expansion plan, what strategies, and aligning based on that, if we should start working, what skills is actually required.
Of course.
Obviously, it's not going to be the old skills what we are talking about. Though our product was developed on legacy product of PHP, now we are moving towards the latest technologies, towards React Native and other thing, which is really good. So we need to understand where the company is going in the future. For this, the talent acquisition professional plays a major role to work very closely with the CEOs and also with the stakeholders and the heads of the departments to understand what exactly we needed. Post that, we need to come up with a strategy. As you rightly mentioned, yes, there will be huge numbers which will be coming in. We need to look. It's not about the quantity what we look at. We look at the quality of hire what we need to hire. So it's not about the 50 numbers filling the roles. No, it's not what we are looking at. We are looking at getting the right people. Even if you are filling 10 position, we are looking at ROI is what is going to be the ROI. So that's what we are look at rather than looking at the number of filling the positions. Yes, there might be different strategies, sourcing methodologies which we might adopt to get this position filled, but uh, I would definitely look at the quality and what kind of assessment process, hiring process we need to look into it, because quite a lot of people internally may not have that skill as well to do the interviews as well. So we need to educate those who are doing interviews and ensuring that the talent acquisition partner are being part of the technical discussion to understand what exactly the hiring manager needs, especially with the niche technologies. So I'm a firm believer that the talent acquisition professional, whoever is working on the requirement, should be a part of technical discussion so that they can get more information and understand the technology, right? So that is very important. At the end of the day, they are the one who are going to serve the stakeholders
Of
and
course.
getting the right people for us.
Of
So that is made the role. Yes.
All right. That makes sense. That makes sense. A very interesting part that you just mentioned was sometimes the hiring managers also are not very experienced interviewers, so they also don't know how to phrase a question, how to assess the candidate. What kind of challenges have you encountered because of this situation?
See, what happens is like they may not be aware. The, for example, the leader of the business, like say the head of the department, he will have a vision because he's working very closely with the CEO and the management, saying that I want this requirement, right? And he will go and tell his manager saying that, hey, I need a developer on this skill. And he may not be very specific. And the person who's creating the job description will be the manager going to chat GPT, or probably he might go to Google and he might get a generic JD and he might give it to a recruiter. And the recruiter, as usual, they will be looking at the JD, start sourcing CVs, and the results will come back and saying that, hey, this is not what we are looking for.
Yeah.
we are looking for someone. So I always ensure that whenever a requirement is raised, the first process what I have instilled is we need to have this intake meeting. So in this intake meeting, what we do is once the requisition get approved, I ensure that along with me, my talent acquisition professional who is going to handle the requirement is going to be with me, and we are going to probe a lot of questions to the hiring manager to understand the requirement better. We will ask what kind of skill actually you're expecting for in this role, because it's a very new role. We don't know what kind of skills you're looking for. What is going to be the interview process? How many levels of interview you're going to have? And in terms of interview process, we will be very clear whether you like to have any coding assessment or any presentation to be done and all this thing. So that actually gives a lot of inputs for the hiring managers to prepare. Okay, this could be a good idea for us, because they would never thought of giving an assessment before. So I ensure that the assessment is being a part of technical recruitment. Some of them use hackathon, hacker rank. I think we have been using it for some time, but now I think we have moved on to our personal assessment kind of thing. So that is very important. So these are some of the challenges. We need to educate the hiring managers, because they are not up to date with the market, what's happening, what's the trend. Maybe they might be updated with the technology, but
Yeah.
availability of resource, they may not have that knowledge. So this is where, as I told you before, talent acquisition professional plays as a partner. So they need to educate the hiring manager more. Sometimes the talent acquisition partner has to influence the hiring manager in terms of the assessment process and interview flow, to guide them that let's have this kind of levels of interview instead of having multiple layers of interviews, because we are looking for a quick interview process. In case if you're going to have 5 level interview steps, I think it's not going to serve your purpose. Quite the candidate might lose interest.
Right.
So those are the things which we need to tell them. We need to cut short the interview process. Let's have a very aligned process. And who are the qualified people to do the interview? Can you give us the names of the technical people who can do the L1 or L2 interview, so that we can go with that flow. So we are well prepared even before starting the sourcing process. Post that, then once we get it, it should not be like, okay, I've seen this candidate, I want to get a second opinion with my colleague. Can we push forward to the next round? So I think the candidate might start losing interest. So all those things plays a major role in educating the hiring manager. So
Right.
we are talent acquisition professional. These are some of the important roles we need to influence the hiring people. Talent acquisition people will be working closely with the technical team.
Right. Would be great actually to even understand when you say they are working with a technical team, how does this collaboration looks like? And then perhaps you can also share some lesson in terms of what is the best practice. How should other talent acquisition also adopt the kind of process you have?
Yeah. So very important thing is, like, as we talk about the evolving thing, Rahul. As I told you before, 10 years back, we never thought that we will have something like DevOps or something like that, something like talent acquisition. We have AI, all those things. So when you closely work with the technical people and understand the business for talent acquisition professional, as I rightly said, they're going to be talent acquisition partners in the future. So they need to understand the business, what kind of technology, what kind of product, what kind of service they provide to the client, and what is going to be the future. They need to constantly, they have to evolve. So they need to have this interaction at the frequent period. They need to ask how this project is going on, what is going to be the next thing, what's going to happen. That's the constant interaction when I will have with my stakeholders. I will go and I will discuss with my head of engineering, or I will be going and talking to my head of DevOps, or head of product, or head of testing. I'll ask them like question like, what is that next thing what we are going to do? What is the next big thing we are going to do in terms of technology? By
Right.
interacting, we get some ideas and we are well prepared. Then they come back and say that, you know what, as we speak today, AI, people are talking about deep learning already. So
Right.
we start research on deep learning. That's how, we keep ourselves updated, and we look into it. So when we go to Campus Connect, when we go and talk to the future workforce, we tell them that, there is something called deep learning. So focus on that. That is going to be the future market for you. So we create that awareness to the future generation as well, the future workforce. So these are some of the things which will be beneficial and very important when you get the right people with working with the technology hiring managers. You will get the right people for your team, and which results in good productivity and better returns for the organization as well.
Sure. So now let's talk about an instance where, of course, there are instances where we don't get the best of hire. There is such a situation. What kind of repercussion can such a hire then have on the organization?
But it's actually a very good question. I mean, like, this always happens, right? As I told you, it's we are not mind readers, to be very honest, because it's a collaborative thing in terms of people's character, other behavioral aspect of it. Probably you would be able to read it, but when it comes to technological side of it, we need to understand, what is his expectations of. Though he might be technically very strong, right? That's the reason why the technical people have hired him. This is where the talent acquisition partners play a major role, understanding whether he's aligning with our vision, aligning with our culture, right? Most of the time, what happens, the candidate says that, quite a lot of companies are giving me hybrid option. Maybe our company may not give you hybrid option. We expect people to come work from office. I'm sure now all the companies are requesting employees to come back to office. As one of my friend, right, Prakash, yesterday in forum, he rightly said the thing has gone from work from home, come to office and work. Please come to office and work. That is how it has changed.
Yeah.
Because now we are talking about employee centric market right now. So the employees are the one who has more voice than others. So I think we need to be considering that in mind. We have to ensure that we are getting the right people. If the candidate is highly qualified, if it's not aligned, instead of filling the role, we have to be transparent and talk to the stakeholders, saying that he's expecting this thing. I think he may not be very comfortable. As I was talking, we have legacy products as well as new technologies. Some of them may not be comfortable going back to the legacy technologies to work on. This is where the talent acquisition partner plays a major role. In the interview, the candidate will not open up and say that, what, I'm not ready to work on legacy technology. Why would I go back and work on old technologies? I'm happy to work on new technologies.
Yeah.
We have to be transparent and get this communication cascaded to the hiring team and tell them that he may not be the right fit because he's not very comfortable. In terms of flexibility, in terms of adaptability, if it's not there in a person, if he's not culturally fit and he's not able to understand the vision of the organization, I think it would be wrong hire, and we will lose a lot of money because he might be in the process. We'll be spending on training, and he'll be there on the system. We will be giving orientation, induction, and product training, process training, everything post 3 months. If he's going to leave, I think it's a huge loss for the organization. That's why, as I rightly told in the beginning, talent acquisition professional are the one who make or break the organization.
Yeah, that is very true. That is very true. So, Asrar, now we'll come to an end to our podcast. And before we do that, we have a final question for you, which is your advice for the young generation who's looking to pursue a career within the domain of HR. So, what would be your advice for them?
Yeah, I mean, quite a lot of people don't look HR as a very lucrative profession, right? Because people are looking forward to moving either to development, or it could be in terms of hard skills, it could be different skills, not HR, right? Because people think HR in any organization, they don't do anything. That's the impression, general impression, mindset of young generation we are talking about, they have in mind. But there is a lot of scope, especially here, who wants to pursue. You need to improve on your communication skill. You need to improve on your interpersonal skills. You need to understand the business. That's very, very important. Back in the days, it's not required that you need to understand the business. Quite a lot of people will come, do the payroll, hire people, and they go. But the times have changed. It's been evolving, it's been changing. So I think that's how it's going to be. So you need to be energetic, you need to be strategic, you need to be vision oriented. You need to have that interpersonal skills. You need to have strong communication skills, and you need to be curious. That's very important, which is actually lacking in quite a lot of people. When we give a new challenge or something, they say that, I've never done this and I don't want to do it. So there is first time for everything. I think they have to take that as a challenge, and they have to do it right. So they have to be curious, continuous learning, and they need to think strategically as well. So these are some of the important things what I would say I would look in for future HR professional. I'm sure are a lot of fabulous people who might take this professional very seriously, and I think they are going to be the future leaders in HR.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Asrar. I think those are great advices. And we thank you for your time. And this conversation was highly insightful.
Thank you so much, Rahul. Thank you for having me, and I hope quite a lot of people, especially the freshers who are watching this video, will be benefited. And once again, thank you for having me.